believe that there are few things more uncomfortable in life than shoes that don't fit right. Having clothes that don't fit is disappointing and sometimes embarrassing. I don't know if it happens anymore, but when I was in grade school, kids regularly split their pants when they hit a growth spurt. And it was really funny, unless you were the kid with the split pants for the rest of the day. So the right fit or the wrong fit can be embarrassing, it can be painful. And friends, there are few things more spiritually draining than having a faith that doesn't fit. The right fit makes all the difference. The right fit allows us to grow and move and learn. The right fit is life-giving. The wrong fit makes everything painful, embarrassing, or stifling. Now, John the Baptist was a rabbi and a teacher. As such, he had disciples, people who lived, worked, and ate with him so that they could learn to do what he did. In first century Israel, there were no yeshivas or rabbinical schools. Instead, most of the rabbis had students. The more famous the rabbi, the more disciples or students who wanted to learn their way they had. And John was one of the more famous rabbis in Israel because he was radical and he was cutting edge. He was the rabbi of the future. So the students he chose as his disciples, as his followers, were among the best and the brightest. John had the luxury of handpicking his disciples, and they considered themselves incredibly lucky to be able to study with him. Now, temple experts came to visit John to ask if he was the Messiah, or Elijah, or the prophet. And each time in John's Gospel, the Baptist said he was not any of these things. Instead, John said it was his role to let people know change was coming. Well, one day in John's Gospel, Jesus came to John, and John immediately declared him to be the Lamb of the world that takes away, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. Now, John told those near to him that Jesus was the Son of God. For John's disciples and for the temple authorities, that was an ultra-radical statement. And the next day when Jesus came walking by again, John once again said, "There's Jesus, the Lamb of God who will take away the sins of the earth world. Two of John's disciples heard him and kind of turned away from John and started cruising over toward Jesus. John's Gospel does something that the other Gospels do not. In the other Gospels, Jesus goes up to people and tells them to come follow him and be his disciples. In John's Gospel, some of his followers go to Jesus and ask to be his disciple. So in John's Gospels, some of Jesus' disciples are among the best and the brightest. In other Gospels, Jesus' disciples, well, they were those who'd been rejected by everybody else. Now, two of John's best and brightest disciples followed Jesus, and he asked them, "What are you looking for?" Well, they said they wanted to see where Jesus lived, which was an easier way than saying, "We really want to hang out with you to see if you're a better fit for us than John the Baptist." Going with Jesus late in the afternoon meant that Jesus, as host, would provide their evening meal, their evening conversation, and their evening lodging. It was the Middle Eastern hospitable thing to do. And after that evening, Andrew knew that John was no longer the right fit for him. Andrew knew that Jesus was the one that he wanted to learn from. So Andrew quickly went to find his brother, Simon Peter, and they both became disciples of Jesus. The right fit gives us freedom to grow and learn. The right fit is life-giving rather than life-draining. In John's Gospel, Andrew, Peter, and many others left the rabbis they were studying with to become disciples of Jesus. Well, friends, we live in a world today that is filled with voices saying that they are the right fit. It's the first time I've seen that picture. It is so right, isn't it? And these are voices and products, religions, diets, causes that all claim to be the answer to all of our life's questions. They promise they will help us grow and learn, that they will give us more life than anything else that we have tried. Well, you may have noticed that television commercials now range between 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 minutes in length. And I have to admit, I laugh out loud when both Nutrisystem and Weight Watchers are in the same chunk of commercial time. Because those two voices are fighting for the same audience and each claiming to be the best. Marie Osmond, she learned she was 50 pounds overweight. It was a bad day. But Nutrisystem! And now Oprah. It works! Just want to kick the TV in. So these are two voices competing for the same audience, each claiming to be the best, most effective, and most life-giving diet plans of all. And we live in a time when we are surrounded by voices, each trying to tell us that they're going to give us exactly what we need to feel like we're growing in life, like we have the opportunity to learn, like we can have a life-giving experience if we just listen to that voice. Well, Jesus asked Andrew and his friend what they were looking for. They said they wanted to see where Jesus lived, which meant they wanted to see what it would be like to follow Jesus, to become his disciple, to live, eat, travel, and work with him. They wanted to see if Jesus was the right fit for them. They wanted to know if they should follow the path that Jesus walked. You probably are aware that stores are laid out in a way that most of us follow a design path through the store. The store wants us to be sure that we see and are tempted to buy the products that they want us to see and that they want us to buy. And whether we know it or not, whether we're aware or not, most of us follow that designed path. Well, every once in a while, I try going backwards through the festival grocery store. It's not easy to do. It's not intuitive. I feel like I'm going the wrong way, and Festival wants me to feel that way. Because the path Festival lays out for me is so much easier to follow, and I tend to see the things they want me to buy. Every store, every mall does the same things. Friends, we all follow something, and as someone once said to me, I know I'm going to follow something, so I just want to know what it is that I'm following. Let's make sure what we follow is the right fit. Jesus is asking each one of us, what do you want? Some of us want to know what we're following. Some of us want to grow and learn. Some of us want to be able to serve others. Some of us want to know that we are loved without condition. Some of us want a meaning and purpose that gives us life. Some of us want peace in our hearts and satisfaction in our souls. Some of us want new life in this world and new life in the next. Well, if we want those things and more, Jesus is the right fit for us. Andrew knew after spending a short amount of time with Jesus that he was the right fit for him, and he went and got his brother. He knew that Jesus was going to be the right fit for his brother, Peter, also. Every person who discovered Jesus in John's Gospel went to invite another person to follow Jesus as well. I suspect we're here because we believe, we've experienced, that following Jesus in Lakeshore congregation is the right fit for us. But we all know someone who needs what Jesus offers. We all know someone who wants to grow and learn. Someone who wants peace of mind and satisfaction in their souls. We all know someone who wants meaning and purpose in their lives. We all know someone who wants to know that they are given second chances and third and fourth every single day. We all know someone who needs what Jesus has to offer. We all know someone who needs to know who and what they are following. The season of Epiphany that we are in right now is the time to find the right fit for our lives and our souls. Epiphany is the time to invite others to experience a God, a faith, and a congregation that is the right fit. Because, friends, there's nothing more spiritually draining than having a faith that doesn't fit. It's worse than having shoes that are too tight. This is the time to think about who it is that needs to come with us to worship, that needs to come with us to a Bible study, that needs to come to talk and to find out more about who Jesus is. Because, friends, the right fit makes all the difference.